Hey guys, it's Steve from Featherlight. So today we're looking into something kind of off track a little bit, running a full-time recording studio. You wouldn't think we'd have much use for a camera, but we actually do, and we want to add one to the studio. And so one of the ones that really appeal to us is the Nikon Z series. Works great in low light. It's got a little bit of IBIS built into the camera and the lens. The ergonomics are great. There's some advantages down the road in the form of firmware updates that are going to mean a lot to us in the future. We don't do a lot of like handheld vlogging and walking around, but we do need to be able to see ourselves, check framing, check focus, all that kind of stuff. And for that, you definitely have to have a monitor of some kind. So one of the things that really looked interesting to us was Nikon's SnapBridge application, which allows you to use your smart device or tablet as a remote screen. Seemed like a great idea, but all the research we did, we just could not find anybody who really went in depth into this application. So we couldn't really determine just from looking around on the internet if it was a viable tool or kind of a gimmick. So let's dive in and check it out. First step is to navigate over to the wrench icon in our camera's LCD setup menu, and we're going to be tabbing down to the Wi-Fi connection tab, and we're going to hit OK. That's going to bring us to the established Wi-Fi connection tab, and simply hit OK. That's going to create our new Wi-Fi connection. Now we don't need the Bluetooth settings. That's for the photo side to transfer images. We just want this side. Next step is we're going to use our smart device and tablet, and we're going to go into the settings page, and we're going to join that brand new connection that we just made in camera. It might also help to temporarily suspend your home network. If you try to stream from the camera in an unsupported mode, you can bump yourself offline. And if that happens, it's going to jump right back to that familiar home network. We enter the password and join the connection. And then the third step is then you start SnapBridge from your mobile device. Give it about 15 seconds or so for all those connections to catch up to each other. And then we see the SnapBridge application. It gives us our choice of cameras. We're going to choose the Z series. And from there, our SnapBridge application is ready to go. When the app starts up, we have the choice of either being in photo or in video mode, and the app can be used in portrait or in landscape. Here you see it on an iPad. Here you see the photo side, and things are very comprehensive. We can touch to focus, we can change our exposure compensation, our shutter and aperture priorities. We have all the things we need to do on the camera side. And if we enabled Bluetooth, we could transfer images back and forth as well. We're going to be primarily interested in the video side, and on the video side of things are a lot more limited. All right, so when you first start out the application, you can use it on the video side in portrait mode like this, and you can use it in landscape mode like this. The app is pretty sparse. You really only have just a few controls. So over here in the right-hand side, you have the record button indicator. And when you're recording up here in the top, you'll see a blinking red light that gives you clear indication that you're recording. When you're stopped recording, this will be surrounded in white, giving you clear indication that you're not recording. The other control is the little X on the upper left-hand side of the screen. That starts and stops the video stream. So really, basically, the workflow is you start the live stream, you check all your settings out, and then you stop it by hitting the X, and you go back and you make your changes on the camera. And then you restart the live stream. If all the adjustments are about what you're after, then you can start and stop recording. The image is quite good, more than enough to judge framing, focus, and exposure. So you'll see in landscape mode, there's a little bit of space here at the very bottom of the screen, and that's simply because the aspect ratio of video might be a little different on every device. So here's a brief look at what it looks like on a tablet. So you get a little bit more real estate, not a lot. Same thing applies. You can use it in landscape and portrait mode. And of course, because of the aspect ratio, it doesn't fill up the entire screen because iPads, most of them are almost square. And it also has to scale the image up. So you can see a little bit of image degradation, not a great deal, but you can see a little. So it still works. It's a great picture. All right, so one other thing to consider is there's obviously a considerable amount of lag in the image. So if you're going to be making critical decisions based on motion, probably not the option for you. I think for generalized vlogging, it's more than enough to check framing and focus, that kind of thing. But other than that, that's about it on the video side for controls. It looks as if you have the ability to touch to focus on the screen, but you really don't. What that is or at least from some other videos we saw, it kind of made it look like you had the ability to touch to focus. But the more I messed around with it, the more I realized that's not really what it was at all. And a lot of times what will happen from jumping from photo to the video side of things, because Nikon sandboxes their settings separate from the photo and video sides, when you jump from photos to video, that little box, if it's on face tracking, just freezes. It just stays put until you kind of move your face into frame and it recognizes you, and then it wakes back up. This is 120 frames a second, so in all the other modes, including 4K, the camera's exposure settings were consistent. When you get into the higher frame rates, the image is a little bit darker. The auto face tracking is not quite as good. And clearly you can see here, we've lost our confirmation box that face tracking is on. It does appear to be working. We're still in auto face tracking mode, but as the CPU becomes stressed, it seems like some things start to drop off as far as performance. So in lower light and in high frame rates, manual focus is probably going to be your best friend here. This is 4K 24 frames a second, and as you can see, we are back to our snappy face tracking confirmation box, and things are working back to normal again. So it appears to only be the high frame rates. All right, so what do we care about the most? What it can and can't do. So what it can't do. It can't stream in auto or custom modes. It can't do custom white balance presets. You can't touch to focus, and it runs your smart device or tablet down fairly quickly. Let's talk about what it can do. It can stream in manual, program, aperture, and shutter priority modes. It can do auto white balance in one of 3 modes, and each one of those 3 modes has a submenu that allows you to steer the tint dramatically in either direction. You can do manual focus, you can do face tracking, both work very well. You can use it in portrait and in landscape mode. You can use all your own custom presets, including all the picture presets. So that's a huge range of things right there. And you can check framing, focus, and exposure. So is this going to replace something like a small HD focus or a good quality external screen? No. Those are going to give you much, much more sophisticated control over your image and the controls of the camera. However, if you're like in our position and you're probably going to get an external screen recorder, like a Ninja 5, for example, will this get you by as a vlogging screen until you get that? Here we have it set up on an old flash bracket that we happen to have lying around, and we used an old quarter 20 bracket and an old selfie stick iPhone holder to set it up over the camera. And that's really what this is intended for. It's intended for you as a remote shooter, at least for the video side, to be able to check the 3 most important things and to use it as a replacement screen until you can probably get something better. All right, so that's a quick look at the video side of Nikon's remote shooting application for its DSLR and Z series cameras called SnapBridge. So it's been a great tool and definitely worth checking out. If you guys learned something or you like the video, please hit the subscribe button and we'll see you in the next video.